everyone, I'm Holly. I am back to make sea salt soap in the loaf molds, and I am soaping a little bit earlier in the day. I am kind of referencing back to my orange and cream sea salt soap video, so if you're confused by some things I say, maybe go back and watch that one. But I am soaping earlier in the day so that I can try to get this cut still before my work day is over, but we will see. I have coconut oil, cocoa butter, and castor oil here in the base, and my pot's a little bit large, but one of my smaller ones is busy. And I would have liked to soap a little bit earlier, but one, I dilly-daddled quite a bit. I don't know why. And two, I was waiting on these oils to cool back down. It's very hard to be a room temp soaper and start too early in the day because I always have to get my oils melted down because they'll solidify overnight. So that's the long-winded story. I'm going to be using peppermint essential oil in this batch, so I am going to use some clay to help anchor that essential oil. I'm just using a couple of tablespoons of kaolin clay. I'm also going to add in some buttermilk, and I planned on making this a goat milk originally, but my goat milk is completely frozen, and so I love buttermilk, so let's do buttermilk. So what I need to do is get these ingredients blended into the base here. The next thing to do is to add in the lye solution. It's nice and clear because I did not really reduce it at all. A little bit for the milk. So with a sea salt soap, we use a high percentage of coconut because the coconut oil, when made into soap, will still lather with the presence of the salt. So to counteract that, we have a higher superfat. That means there's more oil remaining in the batch that is not bonded with the sodium hydroxide. So that's what the superfat is. And a sea salt soap is just a very luxurious spa-like soap. It's very hard. A lot of people just love them because they're so hard. I recommend their use only on your arms and legs, your back and belly. Avoid sensitive areas or cuts or whatever. A lot of people just love them because they're so hard. Some people just love the salt and the mild exfoliation. We use fine sea salt, so it's not rough. It will just stay nice and smooth. So anywho's it. Let's bring this to emulsification. All right, let's go ahead and add in the essential oil, and I'm using peppermint essential oil. It's so delightful. Definitely one of my favorites. So good. Smells amazing. I just bought some and I'm going to have to now buy some more. Need to buy a bigger bottle. Oh, smells amazing. It is quite thin. I don't want to add the salt when it's too thin because then the salt will sink to the bottom. And also we don't want to pour this too thin because it will go out of the liners of my mold. look at what it's doing here. We don't even have a trace yet, but we are almost there. We do need to blend in this salt. So let's go ahead and add the salt. I use sea salt at 50%. So my base oils were 200 ounces, and I'm adding 100 ounces of sea salt. Uh-oh, I think I might have just finished off my stick blender. Oopsies, I have a lot of work to do today. Well, that's a problem, isn't it? And I've been thinking to myself, lady, buy yourself another stick blender. Did I do it? Nope, I did not. So I'll probably have to do some fancy footwork to get this used up to be able to use my stick blender for the rest of the week. That was a really hard, it was really hard for it to, let's see, nothing's broken off into it, but it just doesn't want to hold through this. All right, let's see if this will go. If not, I'll get my other one. Nope, she don't want to go anymore. I admit it's going to be weird soaping today without that big thing. I might have to just tape it up a little bit. It'll be a little rednecky, but we'll get her done. So it's nice, getting nice and thick, which is what I want. I want it to be able just to really hold that salt. I'm going to pour it back off into this. Yeah, can't even do it that way anymore. My body doesn't want to. All right, let's pour it off into here so it's easier to pour. I just love salt soap. I love the sound it makes. Oops. Let's see, I don't want it to be too full. I think that's about where I need to go. Let's see here. It's definitely easier to work in the loaves. Yeah, I filled this one. I had a marker on this other one, so I do believe I filled this one a little bit too full. But the sea salt soap's working in a loaf. You don't have to rush quite as much as when doing a bunch of individual molds. That can be a real pain when I'm doing the individual molds because it does get thick before I can get them all poured. So even though I don't have any pink salt in this particular batch, I just plain didn't have any for the fine, because I do like fine. I did think it would be fun to maybe put a little, well, just a little accent on it from some pink salt. But I want to just give this a little texture first. I still want it to set fairly flat. Now, sea salt soap does make a, wow, this one's getting wild. It is fairly smooth on top, but when you move it around, it's definitely more gritty. I don't know if you can see that, how it's just like smooth, but where I'm moving it is gritty. I can't even see over here. So yeah, I just wanted to give it just a little bit of texture, a little movement. The pink sea salt will be a hint of a pain when it comes to cut, but I'm doing it anyway. So that's how I roll. So I have this really cute pink sea salt, and it's just a medium sea salt from Brambleberry. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the edge here, which I probably should turn it around so I don't spill on the side that I don't want it to be on. And then hopefully these will still be ready to cut yet today, because I do use only the 50%. If I was using 100% of the sea salt, then it would be more likely to need to cut in a couple of hours. Oh, this is so nice. I love how these are turning out. I love the idea of having buttermilk in them too. I'm not sure if I've ever made a buttermilk sea salt soap, but I'd have to go back and look. I debated whether, since I'm still kind of in a test mode on the loaves, if I should be using my super nice essential oil in it, because all that is very expensive. I decided that was the batch I wanted to make, so I did it. So even though I soap at room temperature, I do want these to heat up and gel. So I am going to go ahead and cover these up, and hopefully they will go through their gel process, and then we will just get this cut later on today. Ah, they're so beautiful. I have just a little bit of the batter left that I will go put in a little silicone mold. In fact, I'll just go get it. So I will adjust my recipe down even further, though it is kind of fun to have some chunky sample pieces to send out for the people that don't know if they like salt soaps or not. So sometimes having the extra is kind of nice. Okay, so I am back. It is 8 p.m. I came up at 5:30 and unmolded the soaps. They were hot, definitely hot, but too soft to do anything, too hot to handle. So I've left them alone for a little while longer. I've been busy with family things. So these are the ones that I made, and see, they unmold, but do you see how they're a little sticky? See, this is what I'm used to with my salt soap recipe. It's not the same hardness. Now these probably did not gel at all, so there's that. It is still a little bit warm, and it's also a hint soft, a hint like smeary, but it is solid. So we are going to try to go ahead and cut this and see what happens. Now because I have this pink salt, I think I'm going to turn it onto its side because it's a little bit of a rougher grain. So let's see what happens. It is still quite warm. I don't need a whole... All right, here goes. I'm a little nervous. This goes against like all my things I have taught myself. Don't unmold while it's hot, so because I like it to cool all the way down to help prevent the ash and all the things. It definitely is going against what I feel like is right. All right, here goes. I'm nervous. Okay, well, I definitely was able to cut it, and I didn't have to, or I didn't, get your thoughts together, lady. It did not make a mark. So I think for my recipe, the ideal time to cut is going to be at an inopportune time for me. So that's something I'm going to have to keep in mind, because I'm trying to be very careful. And it's a little, I mean, I don't want to just make a bunch of marks on it. It's pretty good. I like how it looks. It smells amazing. I don't love the rough texture on the side. Let me try doing one and let me see what happens if it smears it down through a lot. Usually what they'll do is they'll catch on the wire and then it'll pull it down. I'm not really seeing that. So it is wanting to crumble, just a hint. If I had a knife with a flat base and, you know, just like it's flat on the bottom and not curved, and mad cutting skills, like able to do it well, maybe a miter box or something type of a situation, then that actually might be the better way to do this particular one. But okay, we're getting it cut, so we're just gonna follow through with this whole situation. It smells amazing. It smells like a candy cane. Anybody ever watch that silly sort of horror movie with Paul Walker and the truck driver? Candy cane. That's literally what I think about every single time I hear the word candy cane. Ah, this is nice. This is nice. It's still a hint crumbly. It feels like it's cooling off very quickly now that we're in the process here. I think this is definitely the way to go. So I guess if I make salt soap, start early and I'll have to cut late. Or I could adjust my recipe for more salt, but that's just, I like my recipe. I prefer to do it this way as opposed to a soap with more salt content. And I'm having to clean off the wire because I don't want it to leave that residue crumblies on this next cut. This is fun. Now that I know that I can do it and I can go ahead and cut and everything's fine, my mood has lightened greatly. Okay, so this is going to be the last cut. All in all, I think this one was a success. Not used to working at 8:30 at night upstairs, but it still is working out great. So here we have the peppermint sea salt soap made with buttermilk. Has a beautiful top with that little bit of the pink sea salt, pink Himalayan salt. And I am just going to leave this all here and call it a night. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.